In local matters, former Navy fighter pilot Mike Garcia delivered the GOP a historic victory in California's special congressional election. He's the first Republican in the state to flip a seat held by a Democrat since 1998. Garcia led Democratic State Assemblywoman Christy Smith by 12 points, with 82% of precincts reporting. Smith conceded the race Wednesday afternoon before all of the ballots were counted. In a statement, Garcia said, quote, "It is clear that our message of lower taxes and ensuring we don't take liberal Sacramento dysfunction to Washington prevailed. I'm ready to go to work right away for the citizens of the 25th Congressional District." The seat north of Los Angeles was left vacant last year when freshman Katie Hill resigned amid an ethics probe. Mark Barabak joins me now. He covers state and national politics for the Los Angeles Times. Mark, thanks very much for being with us. Let's start with some of the backstory of this seat. Why was it significant when former Representative Katie Hill won this seat in the 2018 midterms? And remind us, why did she resign last fall?
Well, the significance is that that had been a very, very Republican seat, a very Republican part of California for a very long time. Like so much of California, it's been changing, particularly in recent years. And Katie Hill caught that blue wave last year. She actually won the district rather handily. She won by more than 8 points to take the seat. It was a big breakthrough for Democrats. And then a few months into her term, some Republican operatives leaked naked photos of her and also incriminating information in terms of her having a relationship, an intimate relationship with with a campaign staffer, which Katie Hill owned up to, said it was a mistake on her part. She was facing an investigation, an ethics committee probe into an improper intimate relationship with a congressional staffer. And in the face of all those allegations, she resigned, thus opening the seat and leading the way to Tuesday's special election.
Well, this was Mike Garcia's first time running for public office. What did his campaign do that gave him an edge over Smith?
Well, a few things. He had a very good political profile for that district. That's an area with a very long, rich history of the space exploration, the aerospace industry. The shuttles used to land at Edwards Air Force Base. So he's a former Navy fighter pilot, great profile for that particular district. Also, the fact that he's a political newcomer, no voting record, nothing that you could pin to him. He is a first-generation American. His father came from Mexico. So he just had a really, really, really good, strong profile to fit that district. And special elections tend to favor Republicans by the nature of their turnout. The turnout tends to be more conservative. It tends to be more white. And so Mike Garcia had a lot of things going his way leading into the election Tuesday.
And Mark, you have reported on how the coronavirus pandemic not only impacted campaigning for this race, but also voter turnout. What did you discover?
Well, like everywhere, these candidates were circumscribed. They were limited in terms of the contact they could do. And that was another advantage that Mike Garcia had. Again, going back to turnout, Democrats, to get their vote out, really need to do a lot of get out the vote work. And the most effective way to do that is door knocking, is personal contact, which obviously, given this pandemic was limited, to say the least, circumscribed. They really couldn't do that sort of turnout. And so the candidates did Zoom debates, they did virtual town halls, but none of that person-to-person contact that we normally associate with campaigning. And again, that played to the disadvantage of Democrats in their efforts to get their voters to the polls.
Well, after Garcia fulfills the rest of Katie Hill's term, he'll face off against Smith again in November to compete for the full 2-year term. How might the results of that contest be different?
Well, we obviously can't predict the future, or I won't try and predict the future, but I can tell you that Democrats are very confident. They think that come November, you will have a much more robust turnout. They think that Mike Garcia by then will have a voting record. He was very open in his support for President Trump, who is not at all popular in the district. So Democrats are confident that they can turn this around, that they can win. Christy Smith has a history. She ran a race for the legislature, lost, came back and won a couple years later. They feel that with a different dynamic, larger, more robust turnout, that they're going to take the seat back. Republicans say not so fast. They think that the formula that worked for Mike Garcia in May will serve him just as well in November.
And how big of a win is this more broadly for California Republicans? Could this foreshadow more down-ballot wins for the party as a whole come November?
Well, I'm skeptical. I think there's a tendency to overstate the impact of special elections. They are, by definition, special. They are idiosyncratic. That said, you can't underestimate this is a huge psychological boost for what that's worth. And you have to point out, too, a lot of Democrats were sort of justifying, alibying, if you will, saying, well, this is a longtime Republican seat, et cetera, et cetera. But the bottom line is Mike Garcia is a vote for the Republicans that was not there before. Katie Hill would have voted very differently, I'm certain, than Mike Garcia will. So you can talk about symbolism and momentum and psychological victories. But the fact is Republicans now have one more vote in the House that they didn't have before.
All right. Mark Barabak for us. Mark, thank you very much for your time.
Thanks for having me.